Bautista, and Pat will introduce him in just a moment, but I just want to thank you for coming. We are thrilled that you're here. You may know that this is an annual event now for the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northfield. This is the third year that we have brought a speaker in and opened our doors to the community in order to bring greater awareness to issues of discrimination and equal rights for LGBT people. We, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northfield, decided to become a welcoming congregation many years ago, and this year we are recommitting to that process. And we are working with the UUA and with Delfin to be an officially welcoming congregation, and this is part of a series of events, and which started with David Breeden, who came and spoke about transgender issues a couple of weeks ago, and Delfin will be speaking tomorrow in our service. We will have an LGBT panel of students from Carleton in a couple of weeks, and then there'll be a capstone service where we really get an opportunity to reflect together on what it means to be a welcoming congregation. So I invite you to come back to any of those events that you'd like or come visit us anytime. And I also would like to just say, can we have one more round of applause for all of the people that made that dinner happen? And I know that there were folks that were behind the scenes that you didn't see, but if you walked into that kitchen, things were flying and words were, it was really quite an impressive sight. So thanks to each of you. And then I'd like to have Pat Tulo come up. He's going to introduce our keynote speaker, and Pat has done a tremendous job really organizing so much of the welcoming congregation program that we're doing. So thank you, Pat, for all your work, and to you.
It's really an honor and a pleasure to introduce Delfin, who I feel that I know very well and have known for a long time, even though we've only corresponded via email and a couple of phone calls. You heard Kristen call him Delfin. I've been calling him Delfin, and you're probably wondering what's the correct pronunciation. Well, I put the question to Delfin a few weeks ago, and his answer in true diplomatic style was, well, some people call me Delfin, some people call me Delfin, and both are okay. And I tried to pin him down, and I couldn't get him to do it. And he went further to say it's actually the Spanish-speaking friends and associates who use Delfin, and those who are English-speaking primarily call him Delfin, kind of counterintuitive. So I guess I fit right in with the rest of the English-speaking people. There's so much to say about Delfin or Delfin, as I will refer to it's interesting to note when I talked to him again this week, and I said, well, how do you call yourself? He said, well, depends on who I'm talking to. Sometimes so I couldn't win with it. True diplomacy and diversity that he exemplified by that. There's so much to say about him that my aging brain and faulty memory just really requires me to use a printed text, so I hope you'll forgive my reading of the introduction. Most of you are aware of the fact that Delfin is the new program coordinator for the Unitarian Universalist Association's Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Ministries program. In this new position, he is responsible for the development of programs and resources, and will also be engaged in advocacy efforts, as well as looking at LGBT issues within the context of communities of color. He's made that a priority. Delfin was born and raised in Miami after his mother and stepfather emigrated from Cuba. He speaks fluent English and Spanish, and like most people of Latino descent, Delfin grew up Roman Catholic, but he's always looked to other faith traditions for guidance and alternative approaches to theology and devotion. Delfin's extensive background includes HIV/AIDS case management, trauma therapy with victims of crime, and working in child welfare. He is committed to bridging religion with LGBT issues, social justice, and issues of violence. Delfin has a Bachelor of Science in Social Work from Florida International University and a Master of Social Work from the University of Pennsylvania. He received his Master of Divinity from Yale Divinity School in May 2010, where he served as the first Latino an openly self-identified queer student council president, and as an intern in the Yale chaplain's office. The following is not even close to being an all-inclusive list illustrating Delfin's commitment. Prior to Divinity School, Delfin was a member of the board of directors of the Alliance for GLBTQ Youth. He worked as the intake coordinator for Our Kids of Miami-Dade Monroe, helping children entering the welfare system. The mission of Our Kids is to oversee and deliver a system of excellent care for abused and neglected children and their families. He's been an active participant in Soul Force in its efforts to bridge sexuality, faith, and justice. Soul Force works to end religious and political oppression of LGBTs. Delfin participated in the 2007 Soul Force Equality Ride, traveling with other advocates in buses to colleges and universities across the country, those that have policies discriminatory to LGBT students. He was arrested for civil disobedience at Notre Dame and Bethany Lutheran College, right here in Minnesota. While in Divinity School, Delfin did an internship at the Religious Institute, a multi-faith organization dedicated to exploring the relationship between faith and sexuality. Also while in Divinity School, Delfin was in a discipleship program with the Sanctuary Collective. Participants in this program commit themselves to a year of working in their communities for justice and inclusion of LGBTs. After graduating from Divinity School, Delfin worked for the American Civil Liberties Union of Florida as advocacy coordinator for LGBT people and for reproductive rights. Just last week, Delfin was an organizer among 60 participants in Breakfast Without Bigotry, an event whose purpose was to share a message of hope and solidarity with LGBT Ugandans. This is one of just countless demonstrations in which Delfin has acted upon his principles and values. I'd like to close by quoting something that Delfin wrote when he was raising money for the 2007 Soul Force Equality Ride. Throughout my life, I have striven to create spaces where others can feel safe and free to be as they are. My desire to be part of the ride is a reflection of that goal, to reflect a safe space on campuses so that all students, whether they are gay, straight, fat, skinny, majority, minority, flat-footed, religious, questioning, wherever it is they fit on the human rainbow of diversity, feel accepted for who they are. I hope to do my part in working toward creating a country and world where people are not only tolerated, but celebrated. I know that this feat cannot be fulfilled in the 2 months that we will be on the road. However, it is the planting of a seed that has the potential to grow. If I'm able to make a difference in the life of just one student that I interact with on this ride, the whole experience with its joys and frustrations will be worth it. My goal for those we interact with is to open the way for them to think outside their comfort zone. I hope this ride is the beginning of a change for both myself and my generation. We are no longer going to be passive participants, but active, nonviolent agents for justice, equality, and the celebration of all people. I bring to this ride my optimism, my compassion, my faith, my strengths, as well as my weaknesses. I bring my desire to help others realize that there is nothing wrong, immoral, sinful, or unnatural about loving beyond that which is expected. Please join me in welcoming Delfin Bautista.
That was my speech. Thank you. It is truly an honor to be here. Buenas noches and good evening to all. Before I begin, I wanted to express my thanks to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northfield for hosting me, most especially to Pat, Naomi, Bob, Susanna, and Reverend Kristen for doing a lot to get me here and for all their help in welcoming me and making this whole trip possible. I'm excited to be here and look forward to spending time with you all in conversation about how we can live our commitment to living on the side of love here in the congregation and out in the world. As Pat said, my name is Delfin, or Delfin, or Dolphin. I respond to hey you. As Pat shared, I was recently hired by the UUA to be the LGBT Ministries Program Coordinator My role will be to support communities and congregations such as the one here with resources for effective ministry in an evolving multicultural world. Assisting with the welcoming congregations process or the open and affirming process, offering workshops and conversations such as the one we're having here tonight, and serving as a voice of faith at the national level in terms of legislation around marriage equality, don't ask, don't tell, and how we will live into the repeal, and hate crime and safe school legislation. Ultimately, my role, along with all of those in the Washington office, is to help us all find ways to embody an ethic of just welcome, beyond the pews, into the local community. Other goals of mine include fostering partnerships with other LGBT organizations across denominations, such as working with the UCC, the More Light Presbyterians, PFLAG, and where my heart is with Soul Force. Raising awareness about issues such as everything that's happened recently in Uganda, and developing opportunities for conversations around the intersection of justice movements such as immigration, healthcare reform, reproductive justice, and racial and ethnic civil rights. As staff, we are trying to be technologically savvy and environmentally friendly, hence I have no notes, and I am reading everything off my iPad. So I apologize if there's a technological glitch because I'm learning how to use this duty. So, all that said, let's begin. Standing on the side of love from the pews to the public. I am mindful of the time and will do my best to keep my reflection brief, as digestion is a gastrointestinal delight, but can impact how much we take in. I wanted to start off with a poem from the collection Poems to Live By that was edited by Joan Murray. The piece I'd like to start off with was written by Marge Percy and is called To Be of Use. The people I love the best jump into work head first, without dallying in the shallows, and swim off with sure strokes almost out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element, the black sleek heads of seals bouncing like half-submerged balls. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and the muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire to be put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands, crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing well done has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, Hopi vases that held corn are put in museums, but you know they were made to be used. The pitcher cries for water to carry, and a person for work that is real. I share this poem as it reflects our calling as people of faith and as people of goodwill to live a life that stands, sings, and is in solidarity with love. Love that stands in the face of and in resistance to oppression, marginalization, bigotry, and dehumanization. It captures our calling to be instruments of change within our own context, place, and story. Not everyone is called to go to Calcutta to start programs for those infected and affected by HIV and AIDS, or to march on Washington for reproductive justice, or to get arrested in